call this meeting Wichita Commission to order. This time I'd like to call on Commissioner Jeff Watts about the invocation.
Judge, thank you. I've asked James Suter to come this morning and offer our prayer. This is James's last week with the county family, and he is moving on to other things, and we're excited about him. And I was thinking about it, James, yesterday, just briefly. Me and James became great friends. We attended a men's retreat together and many years ago, and we just bonded quickly. But I was thinking about the job he does for us in the county, and him and John. If you're going to lay your hands on children in this county, you're going to pay the price. And he follows a strong suit. Maureen was the exact same way, and I thought about that as I wanted to introduce James. And James, we appreciate all you've done for Wichita County and the children of this county. So thank you very much.
Almighty and ever-living God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this great country. We ask that you, Lord, that you protect our men and women in uniform serving this country.
By the shield of your strength, we ask that you protect all our men and women serving in uniform from all evil and harm. And we ask that by the power of your love, may all our men and women return home safely. We also ask, Lord, for you to bless our county, continue to bless our county. We ask you to bless the leaders of our county and all our fellow citizens who serve our county. May we always be guided by your word and your will as we discharge our duties that you have entrusted to us. And we also ask, Lord, that you protect all law enforcement agencies and officers serving within this county. Lord, we ask that you protect them each and every day as they work and risk their lives to protect and serve our community. And we ask all these things through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Y'all join me in praise, Lord. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee. Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Take a seat, please. James, let me share something with you. When that microphone came on, I thought of something. We had a group at our church called Friends of the Groom, and they came in and did the Palm Sunday service, and it was a man and two ladies. And it was really interesting, but in one of the last little skits they did, the youngest young lady was sitting on a little bench deal, and she started off with, "Our Father who art in heaven." And the microphone comes in, "Yes, my child." She looks around. It was the same kind of thing. When they kicked that mic on, I saw your head bob for a second. But it was well done. But the whole time he challenged her on, was she really saying the Lord's Prayer with meaning or not? But it was great. And they're out of Tennessee, group. But luckily for us, they were in Dallas and came up to our church and did a great ceremony. So, all right.
Judge, we're not losing James.
Just going up to...
He's moving up. Yeah. Moving to Burke Burnett. I mean, going to join the Burke Burnett law firm. He's a Texas A&M graduate, and we're very, very proud to have him.
But, Lee, that was one of the conditions I heard. He did not have to move to Burke. He refused to do that.
Yeah.
I did not refuse.
That's what I thought.
We're going to get everybody in trouble here. We're not
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, James. Congratulations.
Whether you move to Burke or not. So, okay. All right. I would ask the court to take action on the consent agenda. I want to make one change on the consent agenda, item number 9, change it from Department 561 to Department 511, which is maintenance for that facility.
Judge, considering that change, having reviewed the consent agenda, I'd make a motion that we pass it as presented with reflecting that change.
Second. Judge, and I had a question.
Okay. Yes, sir. Commissioner.
This is for Maureen. How many vehicles do you have in your fleet now?
Probably the same amount you always have. What we do is, as one then if another entity within the county needs it and it's a good vehicle, then we'll, for example, the sheriff sometimes will want a truck or something with the consent of the commissioner's court, the truck goes to the sheriff's office. Or I think at one point Commissioner Muller was needing a vehicle, although I don't think he ever got one, a truck for his precinct. And so we still try to utilize them if they're available. If not, we'll put them on the auction block. And then if it's a county vehicle, the county gets the money. If it's an asset forfeiture vehicle, then usually the district attorney's office splits it with the law enforcement agency that seized it.
Yeah. Well, the reason I was asking, because it said that you would be adding to it, to your fleet, but you're replacing some of them.
Correct.
Okay.
We still have a Dodge Durango, and so one of those vehicles will replace the Dodge Durango. And then the other vehicle is going to replace another older vehicle. I can't remember what it is, but the number will stay the same.
Okay. The reason I was asking is we're down one vehicle with the constables.
Right, it's a Durango also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that it would serve us well to see if we could get that one, or whichever one you want to give to the constables, to where we don't have to buy a vehicle.
Well, certainly the Durango will be available for the county because it's a county vehicle.
Okay.
And so if that's something that you can utilize,
You
of
bet.
course, I have no objection to that.
Yeah, that helps.
Well, great, great.
And it's being driven now currently, it's just one of the oldest on the fleet, so we
Yeah,
rotate it out.
yeah.
We've got one that's down, and that'd be great, unless the sheriff's gotta have it.
Well, I'd like to add that, Commissioner, she had a Crown Vic from one of the former investigators who retired or left, and she offered it down to us to be able to take it. It was a very low mileage Crown Vic, although it was about 8 years old, I guess, something like that. And that helped us when we were able to get the Tahoes and the rest of the new vehicles. We weren't going to have to ask for another one, so that literally saved us, to get that vehicle from her office, saved us about $45,000 to have a complete rig. Whereas we had the car, we already had the cage for it, we had everything. We just had to put the light on top of it,
Yeah.
radio plate, so they really had a tremendous machine for that.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, any additional discussion on the consent agenda items? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried 5-0. Item number 1 on general business, to review and approve the emergency and regular bills for payment.
I didn't get a chance to look at them.
Judge, I'd make a motion that we pay our emergency and regular bills as presented.
Okay.
I'll second that, Judge.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Muller to pay the emergency and regular bills as presented. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries 5-0. Item number 2 is discuss, consider, or take action to appoint David Blackerby as Precinct 3 Constable effective April 1st, 2016, and approve the public official bond for Mr. Blackerby and authorize payment of bond premium from 100.55 to 0.4412 bond premiums. Was he going to appear today, Ms. Gregory? No. Was he going to be? No, was he going to be here today? Mr. Blackerby, okay.
Judge,
Constable also is supposed to be bringing in his resignation tomorrow. And Mr. Muller, you had something to say?
well, I was just gonna point out that I had talked with Randy Alsop, and he is moving and was going to resign his post. And since David Blackerby won the Republican nomination in the primary and is unopposed in the fall, that it would make perfect sense to appoint him to that position, bring him along early. So that's how that came about, and I guess we'll do that as of April 1st.
Could we make a motion then to approve that pending receipt of Mr. Alsop's resignation?
Yeah, I'll change the language to pending resignation from Randy Alsop prior to April 1st, and I'd make a motion we approve that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any that'll also approve the expenditure of the funds for that bond, which is $50 for the remainder of the year, and then you'll have a new bond beginning January 1st.
Motion to approve payment of bond premium from 100.552 to .4412 bond premiums.
Second.
Okay, very good then. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 5-0. We will need to get him, just do some brief orientation with him, and then have him back when we do the little bigger orientation in the fall when we have everybody on. But
He has been training with Randy some.
yeah, but
Yeah, you're talking about business
I'm
in
talking
general.
about how
Yeah.
to, get your bills paid, what you
Right.
do, the, travel policy, those kind of things. We need to be sure we get covered with him.
Did you read that?
Nancy, if you'd set that up for a
Did you need to
time.
read?
Oh, yeah.
HR and the auditor, and then we'll have just a little general discussion with him. Commissioner Waller and I will probably do that. Okay, item number 3 is discuss, consider, take action on amendments to the list of authorized non-mandated services for qualified indigent healthcare clients. Commissioner Gonzalez?
Judge, I wanted to move that down and wait for Tanya to get here.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Okay, item number 4 is discuss, consider, take action, to authorize county judge to sign LexisNexis subscription plan amendments and contract addenda for the Law Library Bill Group TBD and judges CDA and Public Defender Bill Group for access to and use of specified materials, products, services, and features for a term of 3 years. Those listed prices are there. This is simply a renewal of that contract. I talked with Sherry this morning, but she had a conference call this morning, couldn't be here at the same time. And so there's nothing added, nothing being taken away, but this is an excellent service. If y'all have any questions, I know Ms. Shelton can certainly fill you in on the value of that service to us.
Judge, this is a budgeted item that we planned for in the budget. I'd make a motion that we approve that as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Muller, second by Commissioner Gonzalez to approve the item as stated. Any other comments?
I just have a question. Are we still doing the 2 different types of, there's a LexisNexis and what's the name of the other one, Westlaw?
Yes, and the reason is that the more expensive Westlaw, which is what I use, and our appellate attorney uses, it's faster than LexisNexis. LexisNexis, which is on the agenda, is lags behind a little bit, but that's good enough for entry-level attorneys to do their research and stuff in the trial. And the judges typically don't need Westlaw or haven't chosen to because we give them our case law as soon as it comes out if we're in the courtroom. And so only the management or supervisors in the DA's office have Westlaw, which is more expensive. The other attorneys have the LexisNexis. So
Do we pay for Westlaw per user?
yes,
So more users, more money.
correct.
Okay. So this is actually a way of saving money. Instead of everybody having the premium Westlaw, we use our entry-level attorneys for LexisNexis, and it saves us money.
Correct.
On that, Maureen, I've got a question. Do we capitalize or optimize what we can do for outside attorneys that come into the courthouse to use our services? Do we maximize what we can do there?
You'd have to ask Sherry that question, but I believe that there might be 3 licenses that she uses. I haven't seen the invoice for attorneys that come in, or the public for that matter. You have to be able to provide that service for the public. We don't, I don't think she orders hard copies anymore of books, and so the money that once was directed towards a hard book has now been diverted into this online research tool. And there's this thing we call shepherdizing, which will tell us what case recent cases are following that case we're looking at, and that's very important because if the case gets reversed, we're not supposed to present that case to the court. So we have to do this thing called shepherdizing each time we look at a case before we present it. So, but back to your question, the public has access, attorneys have access. I don't believe they can be charged for that.
No, we can't, but it's a little different category. If I recall when she explained that, because we do buy less hard copy books, we've done that. Now, there are still some things that we buy, but not near what we used to. It's actually less money now being spent on that than it used to be. Don't go buy anything. No difference, but it does cost less, and it's faster to use, and she doesn't have to spend the time then pulling and doing those things for people.
And
And I believe
obviously, a lot more current, I would
Yeah.
assume. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, anything else on that? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 5 is discuss and consider take action to authorize Spring Creek 3 Commissioner to sign Robert A. Bauman construction proposals for replacement of the roof of the county barn at a cost of $12,890 and carpet roof on south side of the barn at a cost of $6,541 for a total of $19,431 to be paid by transfer from budget line 235701 capital expenditures to budget lines as established by the auditor. Commissioner Mahler.
About a year ago, we had Robert Balmer, that is a typo, it's Balmer, take a look at this because the roof is really getting in bad shape on that main building. I passed some pictures out to the commissioners. I'm not sure that's not an original roof on that building. It's been there a long time.
What was that building, Barry?
Well, it was, it's been a county facility for, golly, since, I don't know, Willie, back in the 20s or something like that?
Oh,
Even
And
before, it was pretty willy. So that's,
and it was at one time, it even housed the stables where they kept the teams, and
Wow.
and they had a chuck wagon. They'd go out to work the roads on the far end of the precinct, and they'd go camp out overnight. And
Wow.
they had a chuck wagon go with them. I've heard some pretty good stories about it, but it's a good, solid old building. We went in and did some renovation work thanks to Bobby Yo and his crew with some leftover materials. In fact, the old ramp that used to be at the front door out here is now our office and break room. We built Jerry an office and a small break room in the deal. But the old roof's in bad shape, and I thought we got an excellent quote on replacing it. He's going to take off the old material, put the felt on, put the new metal roofing on, plus install the more modern-looking edge. And so while we're doing that, we are asking to add the shed across the side for some needed equipment storage that we don't have right now. So we felt very good about the quote. It's taken us a while to get it all together, but I'd make a motion that we approve this.
And I'd second that motion and comment that super hand that he's got working on this project.
Yeah, he does.
Top-notch guy.
Yeah, it'll be good. The other thing is even down the road, 5 years from now or whatever, for some reason we didn't need this as a county facility anymore for one reason or another, it would add value to that existing property just to get the roof up shape. Roofs are important, aren't they, Sheriff? Yeah.
Does this guy do gel roofs too? I'm just
we could get it for that price, we'd get two.
I guarantee you'll like what he does. I've watched, I've gone and looked at several projects. He's a reputable guy. I'd make a motion we approve this.
Okay. Commissioner Watts had already
Second.
said.
Oh, I'm
Yes, sir.
sorry.
That's
Okay.
all right.
Yeah.
But we want to be
Just to make
sure.
sure.
Yeah. Any other discussion on this item? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. We'll go back to
Number 3.
item involving Ms. Gideon, and that's item number 3. Discuss, consider, take action on amendments to the list authorized for non-mandated services for qualified indigent healthcare clients. Ms. Gideon, you want to go ahead and speak to us on it? Would you come up to the microphone, please?
Well, the reason I'm here is because a lot of the doctors are prescribing BiPAPs instead of the CPAPs now. The difference in the BiPAP and the CPAP, besides the fact that it's $100 more roughly a month per client, is that it's able to regulate the airflow for the people that are wearing this device at night. It's able to monitor the amount of breaths that are taken per minute, and if the amount of breaths that aren't taken sufficiently, then it goes ahead and forces the air through there. A BiPAP is more of a steady pressure. A CPAP is a steady pressure. A BiPAP is more of a forced upon initial detection of non-breathing. Of course, it's beneficial. It's beneficial for people that have chronic lung disease, heart disease, and things like this, COPD, congestive heart failure. I would highly recommend that we go ahead and add this to this list of optional services.
Okay. Were you able, I talked to Mr. Gonzalez, were you able to get answers to any of those questions by finding out, is this part of their 3 prescriptions?
No, sir, it will not be part of the prescription.
So it
So the
wouldn't affect-
optional services are above and beyond
Okay,
what are offered, just like the diabetic supplies are above and beyond. They're not counted as one of the 3 prescriptions a month.
and that doesn't count towards our 8% then, or not?
It would count towards our 8%.
Okay.
Yes.
And, okay, but it would be outside of their $30,000 cap?
No, it would be within that. It'd be within the $30,000 cap, but it wouldn't go towards their 3 prescriptions a month.
Okay. I did talk to one medical professional over the weekend that has said they saw an increase in their facility of people, but not universally so. I just have to wonder, is this only one doctor that's asking for these, or we have more than one provider saying that this is something we ought to consider?
Something we can look into.
This may well become the standard
You
at
have
some
one?
time.
Which I think that's
I'm
what
seeing.
it's leaning towards, more the standard.
Mine's a BiPAP.
But does your BiPAP go up and down with?
The problem I had with the CPAP was it forced air the whole time. It never let you exhale. You know what I'm saying? So I bought it, I couldn't, so he put me in a BiPAP and it gives me a big shot of air and then it stops and lets me exhale and it gives me another big shot of air. So I couldn't
You
use
don't
the
think that
CPAP.
was your wife pinching your nose shut?
I've caught her standing on the cord a couple of times.
I think as medical technology gets better, the doctors are leaning more towards the new stuff and what's more beneficial to the patients.
I may just have figured out why I'm getting bigger.
Well, it may
Blowing
be.
me up.
But my BiPAP machine gives my doctor a lot of information. I don't know if the CPAP
Yeah.
does it or not, but
Well, mine's got the little chip in it, the little card.
yeah,
Is that-
mine monitors how many breaths I take and a lot of different medical stuff I really don't understand. And it also allows the doctor to change the pressure. So many pounds of pressure in, and then instead of backing it all the way off, it just gives him a tool that he can adjust. I don't know about a CPAP if you can do that, if it's just on or, I don't know how it works. I don't have a CPAP.
No,
And it measures the oxygen level.
We want to do the right thing, but once again, this is an additional $13,000.
Well,
But you said it's inside and I'm assuming that the 30,000 you talked about, there is a cap on per individual cost.
Yes.
That we're going to pay regardless.
well, we
Up
pay up
to.
to that. Then the question becomes, if you pay beyond that, then that's on the county's bill. Now, we still receive a distribution out of the tobacco fund. But remember, we moved the large balance into the idea that was going to go when we do build the jail, that money then would be used, in theory, towards the infirmary system, that we thought that was a legitimate use of that. There is no required, we don't have to justify what we do with that money. It's purely a return on general fund expenditures. But that's what we could look at this, and Commissioner Gonzalez and I discussed this morning, was take that distribution from now on as it comes in and put it to the side to cover these things that we are allowing as discretionary items. Because
When you say that distribution coming in, you mean from where?
from the tobacco fund.
Okay.
And that, in our case, is usually about $70,000 a year. But that depends on the investment return, that depends on who else. Because what they do, they take I sit on that trust fund, and we have a minimum distribution of $50 million a year. This is the way we're trying to set that up. And then counties and hospitals are like a budget that you should get. But what they do, they take all the money from the 100 and some odd entities in that, they stack it up and add it up to, let's say, $2 billion. And if we submitted $2 million, then we'd get that percentage of the $50 million. So it's a small return on what you do, but it's still enough to probably support our discretionary program. That's kind of how we set that up, to do that. And we moved that one fund, but we were getting a distribution this year and each subsequent year until that runs out. There's something that has to be redone, I think, in 2020 with the fund, but up until then, the county would receive money. So you feel like you recommend it?
Yes.
I had really kind of been opposed to it because I didn't think there was enough back on it yet, but I didn't have enough time to research more than that. But in that particular facility, they are seeing the request for that machine going up.
Yes.
And Judge, so I'm clear, 8%, if we spend throughout the year and our percentage only hits 6, what happens to the other 2?
It remains with the general fund.
We don't give it to the hospital?
No.
Okay.
No, in our agreement with the hospital, was worked out a number of years ago by Judge Gibson, that we pay the hospital up to 50% of the indigent healthcare assessment, which is 8% of our general revenue tax levy. But for each year, the hospital makes money based on their profit, and they have to furnish us their annual report. For each million, Willie, help me if I'm going to say this wrong, but I believe it's for each million that the hospital makes, we get a $100,000 reduction in what we would have to pay. So they are working in a partnership with us. And they also, when someone from the jail is put in the hospital, we do not pay hospital charges on them. We pay, the physician charges on them or whatever medications, but it's still a reduced rate for what we would normally look at. So I would think that we will have the money in that distribution each year to cover these incidentals unless we increase that list a great deal. But the danger to the patient is, whether they might hit that $30,000 cap. And
Well, then what happens after that?
But if they hit it with just rinky-dink little things,
Yeah.
they're still hitting it, right?
yeah, they're still hitting it, and you stop providing services at that. I don't know if we've ever had that happen.
Yes, we have.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Usually happens at least a couple times a year.
Yeah, I didn't think it was very often.
No.
Yeah,
No, not very often.
but it can.
Yeah, and then we don't pay for any more services, and then they can reapply September the 1st, which is the beginning of our fiscal year.
Tanya, explain to me why these people are not on Obamacare.
Well, because you have to, there's an income limit, even for Obamacare. So if you're under poverty level, then you're not required to apply for Obamacare.
Some counties are training their people to apply, to actually take the people in and apply for Obamacare for them.
Even if they're under that level, then?
If there's income, but if they're under it, let's say they don't make anything, they can still apply for it. And I've talked a little bit to the people in Austin saying we should make that a requirement that they had to be rejected from the Affordable Health Care Plan before they qualify for indigent health care, but
And I checked into that, and we cannot.
no, it's not, but maybe it should be. But until it becomes a requirement, and we don't have the ability to establish that as a local requirement, we couldn't reject that for anyone. But we could enter into trying to get them qualified.
Tanya, with these 3 new clients that'll be getting those iPads. How many, what's the total?
I believe it's 11. I could be mistaken. It's-
Does yours fluctuate with pressure?
I think I did read 11 here,
There are
so.
6 to 8 more holding on at
Right.
Healthline, plus those that are on it. So, you know. It's gonna- Yeah.
11, those 11 machines would cost the county an additional $13,200 annually.
Well, yes, but it's all relevant to how many other expenses you have or don't have. So you can't say your bill's going to increase by an overall $13,000 because it may reduce $20,000 on prescriptions next year. It's just
Yeah, you
a
just don't
cost
know.
that you don't pay for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't heard that benefit of it.
Yeah. Well, I judge on the review of the hospital's income. When does that transaction take place? When do they verify to us what their net income is?
It's done in,
Well, they're on
I
fiscal
can't,
year, I
they're
think.
on their fiscal year, and I can't remember which fiscal year they're on. But we get that, sent it to the auditor, and then it is placed into the budget for the next year.
The payback is,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, it's just a reduction, and so they set that ceiling each year when that comes in.
What was our budget for this year for the hospital? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Will
It's
they-
one half of what we, up to $500,000 of what's set aside. So it's probably only about a
250.
third of what we're putting away for indigent healthcare.
Well, you know, Judge, we hate to sit here and make decisions that are counter to what a medical professional is telling us. I mean, we hate to do that, and we don't want to assume that position. But at the same time, I think living in the real world, we realize what our oil valuation is going to be in this next year, and other. I'll tell you what, the economic trends that I read in the newspaper yesterday didn't look that great for what things are doing. Once again, at the end of the day, we got to pay the bills, so it puts us in a really tough spot. I mean, how many of these deals do you do? I mean, I don't know. I'm really torn on this deal.
Well, it's not required.
Yeah.
The other machine suffices. Now, we could have a doctor that sends us something that says, this person's, not going to live. I don't want us to get into medical decisions. I did
Yeah, I don't either. That's not-
call someone that had and their advice, if they were sitting in our shoes, knowing what they know medically, they would probably pass on it and wait until there's more support, more wide use of it and eventually the CPAP machine will probably go away and this machine or its newest little brother will replace it.
And that could probably happen pretty quick, I
Yeah.
would assume.
Yeah. But
That's my guess. That's gonna happen.
It's the new generation.
But we have notified the company that was supplying those without court approval, that there was to not issue any more until they found out what we were gonna do.
Well, and then the questions raised in here, whose machines are they? Who do they belong to?
Well, they really belong to the county.
If we purchase them?
Yeah, we pay the monthly fee on them. And, then it's a matter of when that person either no longer needs it, do we get it back? Does it go back? And I don't think those are reissued. I think they kind of are a drop accountability once issued, but I'm not sure of that. Most of them I've seen are in garage sales. And I won one at a golf tournament. I haven't figured out.
You
I did that bad. They thought I needed it, I guess.
Well, you don't want to go to the store and buy them. I mean,
No,
they're
they're
all
pricey.
there. You know you've done it.
I mean, it's like a $1,700, $1,800 deal or something,
yeah.
last time I looked. Yeah, just a new Lee Harvey approved nose attachment is
But,
like
you know,
$200 or something.
if you go to the hospital, Judge, and you typically are issued a machine in the hospital, you don't bring your own, and, you know, those are multi-used, so there have to be some way to,
Yeah, and they may clean them care, I don't know, we have to, you know.
Well, they have a new, mask and
Yeah.
all that goes with them.
Yeah. But like I say, it seems, I see them in garage sales, so I don't know why somebody, but that's one of the, in Chris's project of returning medical stuff, that's one of the things they haven't found is whether they can take those and issue those out.
What would you take, $650 for yours, Judge?
Actually, it went in a garage sale.
Okay, never mind.
I tried to
I don't
carry
know,
my golf
Judge,
bag.
this is a tough deal.
well, I think you've got to go ahead and stay productive or feel like you are in these fluctuating machines do have a little more capability to them than what exists with the older machines, I know, but I think that we have to, like you say, Barry, I mean,
Yeah.
if the physician's recommending, really, who are we to say we shouldn't be doing it?
I tried-
Or
Maureen,
as long as it fits inside the
Do
money.
we have any liability if we deny a doctor's order? Well, that's essentially, if we say, no, we're not gonna let you do that, we're telling that doctor, no.
It depends on what the doctor is ordering and whether there's something that's comparable. You get into trouble probably if it's a life-threatening issue and then somebody passes away. And so it just depends on the situation. And Meredith is in a better position to answer those types of questions. That's just off the cuff for me. I would think that if it's something that you have two machines and one's cheaper than the other one, but they provide the same service, maybe not as well, then I would assume you could go ahead with the cheaper machine. But if it was something that is life or death, and they're saying this is the machine that we need for the medical treatment to keep this guy alive, then I think you would have to go with that better machine. So I don't know what the circumstances are to give you advice.
But the real bottom line is, this is not required in the program, it's purely optional. So we could say yes to any of these or no to all of them. We have, when Dr. Miller was on the court, he said this is a positive thing, and so we went with doing that. So,
But it's kind of like shoot yourself in the foot, though, untreated, and CPAP is certainly probably capable in lots of instances, but all this leads is to complicated health issues down the street untreated. If you don't have them on the machine, then so we've saved $100 here, but we spend $10,000 in 5 years more because now we've got triple medications we're paying for. So.
And I think the judge is probably right. I think it's at some point in time, probably not too long, we're gonna have one machine. They're gonna go to the better technology.
Until they get something else, but.
Yeah. And it'll be 10% more than both of these.
Added together.
Oh, boy, I don't know, Dan. I guess if a doctor tells me I need to do something, I kind of try to do it, and
What about what he told you last week?
what, lose 25 pounds.
And you still have that chicken fried steak.
Yeah, I'm working on it,
I'm just saying, most of our lifestyles don't tend to change that much. All right, what's the desire of the board?
Don't we have to review the second option before we vote?
Well, is there?
Well, yeah. You don't reach your
The
stuff.
nurse anesthetist.
What, are we combining those two, or?
Well, they both need to be addressed.
This was a little confusing for me, Judge, because, and I spoke to Wayne Cure this morning. Wayne is the nurse anesthetist that runs the group that works for United Regional Hospital. So, and Wayne has administered anesthesia to me many times as a function of the hospital. If you go to United Regional today and need anesthesia, the hospital itself is not the administrator of anesthesia. The group that they contract with is the administrator of the anesthesia. And so I'm assuming this is either happening elsewhere. I don't understand on the back part of page 2 at the very bottom, it says, the last paragraph indicates that unfortunately the vast majority of time the county winds up paying for both the anesthesiologist doctor and the CRNA assistant. I mean, sometimes there's doctors that work for that group and there's CRNAs that come in. Very seldom will you have 2 people administer anesthesia to you unless there's some oddity going on. But in most instances, the anesthesia group is the one that's billing the service.
Well, I think they've got a doctor that's overseeing all of it.
That's correct.
When I had my knee surgery, and then somebody else administers it.
Right.
Dr. Harvey was on call, and he was monitoring several of them
Right.
at the same time, I assume. Is that where you get the duplicate?
Well, that may be happening to us, but I don't see that we can circumvent that if it is. It's like when I go and do a sleep study and Dr. Hines would ask you to read it. I pay her and I pay him.
Yeah.
And so I don't see how you circumvent I was not aware that the person administering the anesthesia was getting paid, regardless if it's a doctor or a nurse anesthetist. Either way, I didn't think that we were paying them and paying the doctor that carries the flag for the whole group. That didn't make sense to me, and I could be paying it and didn't even know it. But
I bet you were.
Well, reading this right here, it says, and this is some research that's been done by the auditor's office, I believe. Am I correct? It says an anesthesiologist who works at United Regional Healthcare Systems was asked by the county, received anesthesia bills for both the anesthesiologist doctor and assistant, rather than just the assistant. He stated that United Regional Healthcare Systems, a doctor is always present for the anesthesiologist.
that is not correct statement.
No assistant can be by themselves when administering the anesthesia.
That is not true.
Well, it's underlined like it is.
Yeah.
You've got a doctor there on the floor.
Yeah,
but
I mean, there may
he's not
be.
necessarily standing there when they do it.
No, absolutely not.
They're in that operating suite at the time.
Yes, they're there.
And they may be when you're first put under, but they come and go among those patients, and that's why.
Well, when I had my knee operated on a year ago, Dr. Harvey came in that morning and talked to me, left, and then this, what are we calling this? Not an assistant, but whoever
Nurse
administers
anesthetist.
Yeah.
came in and actually administered the deal. And he wasn't there when they did it, but he was there. I mean, he was present,
But-
so.
But what I'm saying is that
Was he there or was he not there?
Well, he was on the floor. I mean, he was
He
in
was
the
in the
suite.
surgical
He
suite.
was in the suite, but he wasn't necessarily there whenever they gave me my.
So the auditor's statement here is false.
Well, I think there's more to the statement than that, because I think there are days of the week that you go to the hospital that only nurse anesthetists are going to be in this hospital administering anesthesia, and they do it perfectly legal under the flag of the doctor that licensed the group.
Well, that's like the difference in a PA, works
That's right,
underneath
yeah.
the supervision
That's right.
of a doctor.
Right.
I just didn't understand the billing function of what's happening here, because I thought the group, like Titanium, when you go to the emergency room, this group, separate and apart from Titanium, is billing for the anesthesia that happens,
No matter who does.
no matter who.
Within that group.
Yeah, United's not going to administer anesthesia to you. It's going to be this group they contract with. And Wayne told me that he would be more than willing to come and explain or talk us through any of that we had needed clarification on, because
Well, can we do that?
he is the honcho for the group.
Can we do that, Judge?
Well, that's why I was not putting the two of them together, but I wanted to do one, and then the other I thought we needed more information on, was part of my feeling.
Well, I think the more
We
we
just need to make
understand
that
about
motion.
this, the better we'll be. But again, we want to do the right thing, we want to do what we need to do, but we've also got to be budget conscious, guys.
Well, if the auditor is correct and the doctor has to be there in the room, no assistant can be by themselves when administering the anesthesia.
Well, defined
We
by
just
them-
need to figure out
defined by
if
themselves.
that's actually true or
I mean,
not.
in the suite, in the building, I mean, I don't know, I guess you could make that mean.
But if they're just got a racket going to where we're gonna pay the doctor and pay the nurse, then we need to know that too.
When I've had two of these shock you back in rhythm treatments, the only two people in there is Dr. Palmer and Wayne Cure. And Wayne is a nurse anesthetist. He's the one knocking me down, and Palmer's the one running the gun.
And Wayne
So-
did me too.
Palmer is not an anesthetist and could not knock me out.
Right.
So that I just
Did he use the big mallet? I don't know, guys, we need to, the more we know about this, the better off we are, Judge.
Okay, well, let's deal with one issue at a
Okay.
time. What do y'all want to do on the BPAP, CPAP?
I say we go with the BPAP as
BiPAP.
the BiPAP, and go ahead and take that step. And I understand it's costing us more. It's not earth-shattering more, but it is an increase. But technology has carried us to that level, and we certainly understand that these things are going to have a cost associated with them, and we need to look at other trims. But I, for one, just if a doctor's recommending that BiPAP be considered, I have a friend that died in sleep not wearing that CPAP. That was Brad Wynn's wife from Iowa Park, and I know how critical that can be, and I just hate to not do what these guys say, and I understand that it is more cost, but
Is that a motion?
that's a motion.
I'll second that.
Yeah, well, my wife keeps hiding that, too.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Gonzalez to approve the BiPAP machine as an alternative item approved for Inogen Healthcare. Any other comments or questions? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, y'all, what do you want to do on the CRNA?
I'd like to table that, Judge, until we learn more about it.
Okay.
We can, Judge, if you'll give me a time, I'll try to coordinate with Wayne and get something set up to come.
Well, and probably we ought to talk, now, well, he's an employee of Downey Regional or?
No, of the group, the
group.
anesthetist group.
Okay.
And he covers Abilene, and you would know him, Judge, if you've probably
Yeah.
seen him.
Tanya, what you might do is call some of the other Inogen Healthcare offices, just see what the practice is on that, whether they pay both or not.
And could you show us a bill, Tanya, too, so that I fully understand where what the two charges are? I'd like to see that so I could show him, and then that would quickly help as
That'd
well.
explain it quicker than anything.
Not only the bill, but what we pay. They bill at one level, we pay at this level. So, okay. It may not be a significant figure for a lot of the other things we ask our physicians to do.
The auditor's research shows that the difference in price is not much, like $20 between the doctor and the
But
certified
if we're
nurse.
paying both,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's the question.
yeah. Okay. Okay, item number 6. Tanya, thank you for coming. What do you say?
You know, one other comment, Judge,
Yes,
just
sir.
before we move on. And doesn't have anything to do with it, but really and truly, I was under the impression that the Obamacare deal was gonna take us out of the indigent healthcare deal. It sure
No,
hadn't done that.
yeah, we all hope that.
Well, I mean, that's where I thought we were
Well, yeah,
headed with
no.
that, but it didn't happen. It looks like it's business as usual, which is confusing to me.
Well,
But anyway,
That's why some counties have gone in and trained their people to be able to enroll people.
yeah, I thought that's what we
During
were
that
paying
enrollment
for.
period.
And once again, this is another deal, Judge, with the legislative session coming up.
Yes, sir.
This is one of the things that we need to be on top of. If there's some relief there for county government, we ought to try to pursue it. Put that on our list.
Yeah.
Okay, item number 6, discuss, consider, take action on the quotes for repair for replacement of the boiler for the 1985 courthouse addition with funding from Department's 511 maintenance budget or from permanent improvement fund.
Lee, you gonna do this? You want me to?
Yes, I've had a good visit with Bobby O this morning, and we are currently doing a study of our heating and cooling system here. This boiler's got a couple of leaking tubes in it. It costs us about $12,000 to retube it. My recommendation is to plug those two tubes and let us finish with our research. A new boiler is considerably smaller, and they're 99% efficient. So I wouldn't want to spend a tremendous amount of money on this boiler and then 6-8 months later replace it. So I think the most cost-effective thing for us to do is just plug those leaking tubes. Right now, you lose a little bit of efficiency,
Still maintain.
but you still maintain, absolutely. It's done all the time. That would be my recommendation to the court.
Well, because we are looking at the possibility of doing a more efficient system, and
Yes.
but it's going to take several months to get all the data gathered up on that deal. We've just begun the process.
We're going to have a presentation tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock that
By who?
Autumn Air, okay? They're going to inform us of a program that's funded by the state of Texas that would evaluate our energy usage and could give our county up to $4 million to replace our inefficient air conditioning and lighting in our courthouse. What they do is they do a study, the state does a study of what your energy use is, and then there's a complicated calculation that happens, and they can greatly reduce, it sometimes cut in half your light bill, your energy bill, okay?
I've witnessed that happen.
Okay, what this program does is it will give you the money to buy all new equipment, lighting, air conditioning, boilers, et cetera, up to $4 million. But you would continue to pay the same energy bill that we pay now. So it's doesn't impact our budget at all. We can get new infrastructure, pay the same bill we're paying now, and in 10 years, you have to have that paid off. And then you'd have 10-year-old equipment, new low-impact lighting, and then we would see the county actually would pay for all the equipment, but the state would go ahead and put it in and let us benefit from having good under warranty infrastructure as far as the heating and cooling. And at the end of when we get the money paid back, then they refund that money to someone else. They do another.
Replenishes the program.
Right, the program just is a revolving door, they have $50 million in it. But we're gonna get a presentation tomorrow morning at 10 from Autumn Air. I probably can't have all but two of us in there, but they're coming. I didn't know if Commissioner Waller or Commissioner Watts wanted to come to that. Anyway,
Yeah. No.
so my recommendation on the boiler is to plug those tubes.
Well, I'd make that motion.
I'd be second that motion.
I thought we just had those replaced.
No, that was the.
Different boiler.
The big boiler, the main
Okay.
boiler, Judge. This is over in the 85 side. If I understand it right, it operates the jail kitchen, the stuff on that side of the courthouse. So this is a separate boiler from what we've had worked on.
Okay, so the motion is to plug the defective tubes in the boiler. Any other comments or questions? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 7 is discuss and review jail work orders.
Judge, I forgot to print it.
Oh, okay.
I was looking at it this morning, and if I did print it, it's probably on the copy machine.
Let me go look.
I don't think I printed it.
Okay.
Did one of y'all?
No.
Nancy, can you print those right there?
We'll go ahead and go down to public comment while Nancy's going to get those. Anyone in the audience have anything to bring up?
Judge, it's not a public comment. I wanted to get an explanation. On this meeting with Autumn Air, I think that we need to post that to where all the commissioners can be in there to hear all this information instead of just 2 commissioners in there, and then we won't be able to get the whole true gist of what they're trying to do for us.
I agree with that 100%. What this meeting is intended for is to listen to them, to see if it's something that we wanted to bring to the court.
For a work session?
Yes, for a work session.
Okay.
We wanted to hear it and see if it was viable, something that we could participate in, and if it was, then we wanted to come and have a work session on it and post
Okay.
it. It's a fact-finding deal tomorrow.
The other thing you could do is record that meeting, just with a little recorder, and
People could review it.
they could listen to it. So Nancy can put it on the public folder for you to go in and listen to it and do that. So,
I really, just on that note, I was always skeptical. We did it from high school, junior high, to elementaries. And I could not fathom in my mind, because it was about $750,000 for it, and it was lighting only, that would pay for itself. We cut that bill in half. We had more than enough money to make that payment and pay that equipment off and just be a better efficient completely. So I was witness to that, and standardize and uniformed our whole campuses the same way. So it was a great project, and it was under this very same plan.
So you've seen it work?
Mm-hmm.
One of the challenges we've got now, and Commissioner Harvey and I have done some work on this in every facility that we've got a system here that's been added on to, I'm talking HVAC.
Right.
And it has been, over the years, this part's been replaced, this piece has been repaired, and it's becoming extremely difficult to do the maintenance and get any kind of efficiency out of it because it's so pieced together. And to get the thing all up on one system, I think would just have tremendous benefits. And the reliability would be quite a bit better too, I think, which would help a bunch. So,
when the court upgraded this in the system in the early 90s, I believe it was one of those with an energy savings, it was going to pay itself back, but we didn't get the continuous flow system, we got the other because it was less money. That was not a good idea, okay? But that was what the court voted to do. So as we look at this, and this is the first one I've seen where the payment works the way we're talking about. The other, you were supposed to invest in it, and then you got your savings off the utility bill to pay yourself back for it.
right.
We did one of those to some extent, and never really felt like we got all the credits we were supposed to in the sales side of it from the actual side of it.
Well, Judge, our evaluation and our lead on the whole program was Roy Sparkman's group. Are you
Yes,
familiar with
yeah.
that was who led our campaign when we did that, so.
Yeah, and the law has changed and the way that's done has changed, but, but I have a sheet in there that I think I gave you a copy of. Colleen Mills did an outline for us of how that can be done. And, so as we work towards that, we will look to this company, but I'm interested in how that state program, then we want to look at who will analyze the work and do that. So, no, I think it's a great idea.
But I'd like to make a point, if you would. When was this addition here remodeled? What year was it?
This was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Bobby O and I just went into the maintenance room here on this floor because whenever the guy came, Barry from Fort Worth, to look at our boiler and stuff, he wanted to look around. In the mechanical room on this floor, brand new unit. It's beautiful. It's all still all shiny. We open the door on it and the coil is totally plugged up on it. It's got leaves, got things growing out of it. We have got to maintain our HVAC system. We are not giving it the attention that it needs to allow it to be efficient. We've got to change filters. We've got to clean coils. I think our average electric bill runs around $45,000 a month. And if we did our preventive maintenance and we changed our filters and we cleaned our coils, it could be a substantially less than that. So on a brand new unit, it's 2 years old. I just before court walked in there and looked at it, and it's
Okay.
clogged up.
Now that unit, part of it, and I don't know how much of it was there with the original 85 construction.
The unit that I just looked at, Bobby O told me was brand new.
Okay.
Part of that was already there.
The unit.
Was put in when this addition on 85 was made on the second floor. The second floor remained vacant filled up with our junk
Yeah.
for many years.
But at any rate, we had it one time, and the guy went out of business, and I don't think we picked anybody up, but we had a company that came in and did that and changed filters and was supposed to check the coils. But all of that's only as good as somebody checking the guy that's supposed to be checking. And that's-
Lee, I thought that you had gone out and got a contract with somebody to change out all the filters
In the jail.
in the jail only.
Yeah. We need to get. have
They're
we sent
cleaning
out-
coils and changing filters in the jail. And Bobby O is going to contact those guys and ask them to come look at this unit here because once we get that coil clean, we probably will notice a huge comfort level difference and efficiency. I mean, it's clogged up, guys.
It handles a bunch of air.
A bunch. We couldn't hardly close the door after we got it opened. So,
Well, I think it all comes back, Lee, and you and I have had this conversation. Once again, we're probably woefully understaffed in maintenance.
I know we are, without a doubt.
We just got a lot of older buildings that need to be taken care of, and our staff doing.
And we can stay
understaffed
understaffed
Yeah.
if we will pass some of that stuff on to some contractors,
Right.
but we've got to get it done. We cannot not do it.
Absolutely.
Do y'all have maintenance records?
Boy, I'm not sure.
No.
Just yearly something's done, or
No.
keep it from year to year might be helpful in organism.
Would be very helpful
Probably would be.
to have every unit, have a unit number, have a folder, and know that every time you spent money on it, this switch went out or whatever, that's kept in that folder so you can have a record of that. We do not have that today.
And then have somebody initially off on it as a contractor does something, so you know when it's been serviced last and all of that, because it helps.
Well, it'd help you with your billing too, to know that, once again, Lee, like you're saying, what are we spending on this unit? And you've got to know that, to know when you gotta make a decision to,
There's a section of that Munis, I think the Munis financial system, there's an inventory section in it that, do you recall that or not, what I'm talking about? I was thinking there was a tracking deal
I believe I saw that in the presentation, Judge.
that
when
would
we
send
did.
that, so you could actually look at any of these given pieces of equipment. As long as you had a unique identifier by serial number or equipment number, it would help you do that.
Because we do it, for example, on the fleet, like in the VA's office, I'm sure the sheriff's office probably has the same thing, where anytime it's worked on, I can tell you how much we spent on each individual vehicle, the mileage and all of that stuff. It just helps me, because if you guys ask me a question, as Commissioner Gonzalez usually does, I can answer that question quickly. Plus, you know the value of the vehicle and upkeep on it.
That's what Maureen recently we started doing on, with the local truck group here, because we didn't have maintenance schedule on our trucks, and so I've been rolling them through, so we create a maintenance manual on each one that does indicate, what has been done, and we think it's important to, and it only makes sense for AC units.
Especially if your maintenance person, your head person retires or whatever it might be, the next person in line can go back to the records.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know it's a huge undertaking, but once you start one section, it seems like you get that completed and you can go to the next section and all that. It helps me anyway.
Yep.
In my office and stuff.
Okay. We ready to go back and discuss and review jail work orders?
Yes.
Thank you, Nancy.
Chief Manners, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a van sitting down at the bottom of the courthouse out here on this side that says jail security systems on the side of it. Am I to assume that this person is in there working on our cell doors?
I did not see it.
C&I.
You couldn't get in the jail, or you couldn't get in the back door without stepping in the flower bed because he's parked right in the middle of the.
Well, he was working on the back door, the
I know that
key,
the back-
magnetic key deal.
The officer entrance door that you have to
Yeah.
use a key to get in wasn't working properly this
He
morning.
was
When I
working
got
on
here,
that.
There
That's
wasn't
what he
anybody
was
there.
working
That's what he's working on? Okay. So, Lieutenant Bonin said that we were calling in a company for the Metroplex to come and work on our doors, our locks, our locking mechanisms.
Yeah, it's a hyphenated last name on,
They're coming in to get us a quote and look at, is my understanding. Of course, Lieutenant Bonin's not here today, but my understanding, as is theirs, that they were gonna come in and give us a quote after they went through the facility on doing, like, maintenance on all of our locks and locking mechanisms throughout the entire jail.
Okay, from what I understand, we need to get these fixed now. We don't have time to take a quote and study something for 2 or 3 months, like a maintenance program, that we needed to get these cell doors operational.
It's gonna have to come to y'all, and it's gonna, apparently the initial ballpark figure may be $30,000 to get it done. And I figure it probably needs a quote, and we need to get it to y'all and get it approved.
So the quote will include these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 work orders on this list.
Talking about the ones up at the top, is like,
And there's one down in there, door sensor not showing secure when the door's closed.
I would expect that it would if it's gonna be a useful quote.
Well, you've got another one down there on a solitary door, it's popping on its own. There's several of them down through there, Commissioner, that need to be picked up on that.
Yeah, there's quite a few on both.
And there's downtown and annex, it's both locations.
So when this contractor, is he here today?
I do not know. I don't know when he's coming in to get that. I don't know if he's going to. I don't know. Didn't get that from Lieutenant Bonner.
What about wasn't the spray and control room panel had problems week
Yes.
before last?
Yes,
And we're back functional now or not?
yes. We're missing one of the computers that actually fried, and so we shipped it off to the San Antonio office. I emailed the representative this morning to get an answer on how much longer they think they would have that computer. And the only thing that we can't do right now is they can't remote access, and if we have any issues, they'll have to send a technician down. So, but other than that, we're running back the way that we should be.
Okay.
Is that the same company that would be addressing these work orders?
No.
No.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
So will you let us know when this contractor here will be present?
Yes.
Do you anticipate that to be this week?
I'm not sure. Lieutenant Bonin was the one working on that. He's going to be out all day today, but he'll be back tomorrow. So we should have an answer tomorrow.
Might just see who that is out there. Maybe they're planning a jailbreak.
It's probably CNI.
It's seeing that.
Oh, is it?
They-
Okay.
Yeah. We also had an intercom that was messed up, so there's a really good
Okay.
possibility they're working on that as well.
All right, anything else on that item?
No, we're still making progress, Judge. The good
Yes, sir.
news, the days of past due are continuing to come down, and this has been a major effort by a lot of people, but it is paying dividends, and we're winding down on it. A lot of the things now with the longest day notation are things that, well, for the most part, it's like some grouting issues and things like that, less of a high security deal. Still need to be addressed, but at least, you know, you don't get as nervous about those as others, but progress, and that's good. It's a big job, and it's an ongoing job. It's not, you know, it's not gonna end. It's just gonna, we just gotta get it under control.
And the shower project scheduled to begin when? Do we know?
I'm sorry.
The shower project?
I think 3 weeks, something like that,
Yeah.
or so.
And we've still
We still
got
have room, I guess.
We're going to be, the sheriff and I were talking about that over the weekend. We're going to look at that when we get a little bit closer, because
Which I know we don't know what.
population could drop or increase by 80, but, you know, just in 3 or 4 days. So we're going to look at that as that time gets pretty close. And I think
Well,
that day,
and
maybe
my-
on the 11th, maybe.
Yeah. My point is that I think last week we were in a position to move forward and we had our numbers where we need them, but I understand that changes day by day, and just have to see where we are when we start.
We started a remediation on the new side of the 5th floor, and that would complete all of the rust removal downtown, and so we had to shift inmates around. So as soon as he gets done with that, we should be back to where we were to have those units open, but, yeah.
Okay. Anything else on that item? Okay. Anyone else, and now back to public comments, anyone in the audience or any officials?
Can't help but mention Praise Week. I mean, we had Easter yesterday, and we recognized the risen Christ. So had a lot of good Easter egg hunting and a lot of explaining to grandchildren about what Easter really is. And we just hunt Easter eggs on the side as something fun. It really doesn't represent our holiday, but had a great worship service Sunday morning at the First Baptist in Burke, and it's a great entire week. Palm Sunday, the week before, and just it was a really good week.
Okay. Going to be followed by another good week, isn't it?
It's going to be followed by a really busy week. We're going to leave Wednesday and start mobilizing equipment to the Circle Bar Ranch in Truscott, Texas. Having a big kind of last-minute review tonight at 6 o'clock in Burke Burnett of the cooking team that's been put together to support it's not a Wounded Warrior project, so I need to figure out how to.
These are wounded warriors, but it's not in
Not the organization,
relationship
no.
to.
That's right.
I think the Semper Gratis people call them war fighters, so, anyway, it's gonna be a really good event, April 1st and 2nd in Truscott, Texas at the Circle Bar Ranch. Semper Gratis is a nonprofit that supports our veterans, and they put on a helicopter hog hunt for these guys. I think they have 5 helicopters lined up, and last year they did it in Enos, Texas. They just had some continuity of property issues down there, so somehow they met up with Jerry Bob and Eugenie Daniels. They are the owners of the Circle Bar Ranch in Truscott, and moved the event there. And we were asked if we could support them by feeding them. So we're going to do just that. We're going to cook 9 meals, I believe it is, over a 4-day period, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and breakfast Sunday morning, and put those guys back on the plane home from where they come from. Semper Gratis, and it was really, they had to think about this quite a bit, but the outfit that raises the $300,000, what they do is they take these guys back to where they were wounded, to the spot where the IED got them, or to the spot where they were shot, or to the spot where they were burned over 90% of their body. And even though they may be a double or a triple amputee, they let those folks walk away from the place that it happened. And I guess it gives them closure, and it lets them say, I survived this, or I conquered this, I'm still here. You didn't, so it's kind of he said it's really, really emotional to take those guys back to where it happened, but it gives them a lot of, I guess, closure, so that they can move on. So it's kind of a tough deal. I'm looking forward to spending some time with those guys and hearing their stories. And from what I understand, they're not going to be very nice to our wounded warriors. So what do you mean? He said, well, a lot of times those guys are tired of being handled with kid gloves and walking around like you're on eggshells. And he said, we're going to bring them back to boot camp. If you got a guy that's got 2 prosthetic legs, I'm going to be on his butt hard and heavy about getting that copter soldier here, going to bring him, we'll treat him like he was treated before he got injured.
Well, and they told us, Lee, said, talk to those guys about it, ask them about it. Don't, just said they're perfectly willing to talk about their injury, and said it's therapeutic for them to do that and acknowledge it. And
one of the guys that's kind of the head of Semper Gratis said that he had a lady come up to him and said there was a veteran over there that was burnt from head to toe, and she wanted to go talk to him. And he said, well, go talk to him. She said, well, I don't know what to say. We'll start out with telling him your name and ask him what his is. He's just a person. So, I don't know, it's a little different for me. I don't think that I have the right to tell those guys if they want a beer, go get it themselves. I'm going to go get it. I feel like I owe them.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll get yourself.
But those guys that went through that stuff with them, I might be all right for those guys to give them a hard time. But you won't catch me giving them a hard time. But anyway, they told us to be ready to make these guys regular guys this weekend. And we're not going to treat them special. We're not going to wait on them hand and foot. I said, how do you get the guy in the, he said, I'll strap him to my back and I'll carry him in there. I said, okay. So it's going to be educational for me, and I hope it helps a lot of these guys that are coming in. I'm really excited and looking forward to it.
Lee, as usual, our community stepped up. All the funding for the food that's going to be cooked is done locally.
Every bit of it.
Everybody's chipped in. There's been a lot of donations made, and the cooking team themselves have chipped in and donated to make this thing possible. So That's typical for this community. They do things like that.
Then over $7,000 has been donated to buy food for this event.
And I don't want to downplay the Circle Bar Ranch at all. That Jerry Bob Daniels and his wife, tremendous people, and this is actually the largest part of Truscott, what used to be Truscott, Texas, and the bank, the little bank there that probably closed in the 30s has been
I think he said
renovated.
the bank was built in 1920, and it's now their ranch offices, and it actually looks like a museum. It's I could spend hours in there looking at all the stuff.
Yeah.
And we've got, what, 60,000 acres to hunt?
Yeah.
48,000.
48,000.
That's the Circle Bar, aren't they?
Right, well, that's correct. That the Pitchfork, which is family,
Yeah.
said that they could use part of their land. They had taken the First Baptist Church in Truscott, Texas, and actually added on to it. And now it's a hunting lodge with about, I don't know, 15 or 16 bedrooms or whatever. It's absolutely beautiful. So I really think our Wounded Warriors are going to be treated really good. They're going to eat some good food. Us fat boys, we know how it's good. We can cook good, can't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to feed them right.
The Eugenie Daniels, she is a heir to the Budweiser family, and you would never know that for 1 second that she
I will serve
becomes
you.
this.
She grew up in
Any
Boston.
day.
Oh, yeah, but just tremendous, and they use their money to good, just like this endeavor. I mean, it costs them a lot to host this, and I just can't say enough about the hospitality of somebody like this opening up their ranch to let all of us come up there and have a weekend.
Population in Truscott, Texas is going to multiply this weekend considerably.
It hadn't been that population in a long time, probably.
I'd like to point out something else, and that's the support that this community has received from Shepherd Air Force Base on this event.
Oh, absolutely.
It's been phenomenal. The volunteers that have come out. There's a lot of fencing that has to be erected and then taken down. The landing zone for the 5 helicopters, it's a huge area. And they have to fence it off, put the orange fencing up. It's got to be controlled. And anyway, there's a large crew coming from Shepherd Air Force Base that are going to erect that, set it up. The telecommunications, ground-to-air communications.
We'll have a controller on scene.
We will have air traffic controller on scene provided by Shepherd Air Force Base. Volunteers to help handle all the weapons in and out of the helicopter. I mean, they have a very strict procedure for gun safety, things like that. I think that the Shepherd guys has added as much or more value than we did as feeding them, because it's very technical what they do, and it's very dangerous what they do. So I think they really take that learning curve out of that and provide a great service. And Shepherd Air Force Base is, we've always had, when we needed support, like in May, we call out there, General, we need some folks to help us sandbag. We had more than what we needed in waves and in different shifts, and our community is blessed by Shepherd Air Force Base. I just want to make sure that we recognize what they do for us.
Great program, great effort. I'll see you at the Heart of Judges on Friday evening and come back to school later. So,
Yep, Judge Gossam has got judges from how many different counties?
about 5 there.
Bringing us some golf carts so that we can get those guys from one end of the ranch to the other, with some logistics. Be hard to make them walk very far, but how many? 3 different county judges?
I think it's 3.
3, yep.
Yeah.
Or help provide infrastructure.
Okay. Anything else we brought up? Not, we're going to take a recess until 1:30, is that right? When we're going to have
12 noon.
I'm sorry, 12, recess till 12, then we can have that lunch, and we've opened back up for that, because we do have group. Where's that going to be? Here. Food's in there, and we're eating here, or, okay. All right. It is 11:30 right now, so we'll recess and reconvene at 12.
Who's speaking?